This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. So before starting, any questions? Okay. Yeah. So the thing is, I'm expecting everyone, right, by this time, you should have the Salesforce account. Okay, that is important for our practice. So all you need to do, you need to go here and have the account already if you did not create. You need to open this website, click on this button on top right, and you need to click on this sign up and have your own account, okay, for our practice. So once you register to login, so already you know login.salesforce.com. This is the website. No need to daily go to developer.salesforce.com. Here, enter your username, password, and login. For the purpose of the training, so I created one of the account. Again, day to day, I'm going to use that one, right? So this is the username and here password and so once you log in, so by default whatever we see is the lightning experience. So at present we are exploring, I think already we discussed about the different applications. So to access applications, we need to click on app launcher and access the application, marketing, sales, service. I think already we discussed, right? So now at present what we are trying to understand, so how the project starts and how we work, right? So mostly the companies, right, client is like right, so directly who use the application. So maybe Apple is one of the client, Walmart, they might be using CRM, right? So those are the clients. So maybe we work in the one of the service-based company like Wipro, CTS, or some of the service-oriented companies. So these companies they work for the clients, maybe Apple, Walmart, and maybe different kind of clients. So our job is here, but also we discussed how in the project, so how the requirements will be managed. They use some tools. These companies they use some of these tools to manage the requirements, and also the project methodology. Mostly the as a process, you see people talking about daily stand-up call, sprint, right? Every sprint from backlog. Backlog is the place where all requirements will be added from backlog. So every sprint, so one meeting before the sprint in that. So they choose the requirements to work. So mostly 1 week is for development, 1 week is QA. That's the process. So now let's say we know all this process and we need to work. So one of the requirement is assigned for us. So where we work, we should not directly work in the production. Okay, there is a concept called a sandbox. So we need to work in the sandbox. So mostly the team lead or one of the senior person in the team, that guy will log into the production and create the sandbox. So mostly the clients might be already having the sandboxes. So we get access. Okay, maybe just to understand how that will be. So once we log into Salesforce, left side you can search for sandboxes and try to create the sandbox. But you know the limitation, the developer edition account, whatever we registered, is having some limitations. it is not allowed to create the sandbox. It is not allowed to create the sandbox in the developer edition account, and also some other limits like only we can store 5 MB of the data and all those things are there. Maybe yesterday I think to make you understand. Okay, so I opened one of the account. I have one enterprise account. Okay, just I'm passing my screen for a few seconds. So let me again open quickly and show you. But so really, so that is like one-time job. Okay, so just if you know this process, that is sufficient. No need to really create and do. Okay, that much is not needed. Okay, so this account, since it is a paid account, some of the enterprise edition. So you see the option for the sandboxes. In general, in the companies, mostly for sure you see, so people create, so one sandbox. Sandbox is nothing but the test environment. Whatever the application content is there in production, that will be copied into some other server box, and there our application will be there. Okay, so you see mostly people creating dev, QA, UAT. So these are the sandboxes in most of the projects we see. So it's not like 100% everyone they follow like this. It's not like that. Okay, project to project.
Sir,
Yeah,
so in developer edition, Sandbox is completely hidden.
yeah, you cannot create.
I mean, we can't even see the Sandbox application, right?
Yeah, first of all, you cannot create, right? Since you cannot
Yeah.
create, there is no sandbox associated to
Okay.
that developer edition account.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
but if it is a paid account, you will be finding the option to create the sandbox, right? Those sandboxes which are associated to that account will be there. Okay,
Okay.
so it's like that. Yeah,
Srinu,
yeah.
one
Yeah.
question. Is it the application, default application which is available, or it is the application which we are supposed to create it? This
Uh,
sandbox.
Sandbox at the time of creating the sandbox. Okay, so the thing is, it asks that you want to create the sandbox based on the production, right? Create from production. So when you choose this option, at the time of creating this sandbox in production, whatever the applications, either standard or custom or anything, at that point of time, whatever the applications are there, all those applications, right, will be copied. Okay, it's not like only standard.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so yeah, just I'm trying to explain, right? So what is the process we follow? Mostly, most of the projects you see people maintain dev sandbox, QA sandbox, UAT, production. So dev is for the development configuration or whatever, right? First we, as the administrator, as a developer, we configure and test, unit test, right? In dev, one of the sandbox. So once as a administrator, developer, whatever we configured or developed after doing the testing ourselves, we move those changes to QA, right? We deploy those changes to QA. So how we deploy all those things, we'll see as a one of the upcoming topic. Okay, so the changes will be moved to QA. QA means quality assurance. The testing team, they do the testing. They can also find the bugs, right? If there is any bug, again we fix here. Again, send that fix to QA. Again, they'll do the testing. Once the testing team, once they sign off, right? Here, just assume that this, I think we're talking about this Wipro company, right? Wipro QA team, they do testing. So once everything is done, those changes will be deployed to, again, UAT, right? So UAT means user acceptance testing, meaning mostly the client employees, right? So who is the client for Wipro? Apple company in our example, right? So some of the employees of the Apple company, they log in and do the testing. And if they find any bugs or any suggestions, again, we need to fix. Again, QA team, they do the testing. Again, they'll also test the client side Apple employees. Once they are also sign off, the changes will be deployed to production. Okay, so that's the process. But project to project, there can be multiple dev sandboxes, right? Sometimes it's very, if it is a very big project, you see dev 1, dev 2, dev 3, right? So different teams, they work and deploy to QA, right? Again, from there, they deploy to UAT. So those things will be there, right? So maybe in some companies, they maintain something called staging, right? Staging means waiting to deploy for production, right? It's all based on project to project, right? In some projects, only dev, QA, and production. It's all based on the client. If the client is very small or big, all based on the process. But mostly you see this process followed. Okay, now to log into production, right? So already we discussed the URL to log into the production is login.salesforce.com, right? So let's say after creating these sandboxes, how we log into these sandboxes? What is the website? To log into any sandbox, the URL is test.salesforce.com. This is the URL, right? So we open test.salesforce.com, this website, and log into the sandbox. But log into which sandbox? I'm saying we create multiple sandboxes for development, QA, UAT. How we know that in which sandbox we are trying to log in, right? So the thing is, for all these sandboxes, URL is same. But what will happen? Okay, so some naming conventions we follow. Okay, so for example, just I'm giving some example, right? Let's say in the production, so assume that the username is this is the username, right? So let's say dev sandbox is created for this user, right? Directly, if you give this name also, it might take for sandbox. But what we do, since this is for dev, we end with dev, right? So that while we try to log in, so we know that which sandbox we are trying to log in, right? So these standards will be followed, right? Same user might have access to production, might have access to dev sandbox, QA sandbox, UAT sandbox. When that user is having access to everything, how the standard is maintained. So at the end, the name of the sandbox that will be added at the end, right? So just understand that. Okay, this we should know, right? To log in here, the URL, this one. So to log into production, the URL login.salesforce.com. Okay, so even though you know full subject. Once after joining, right, first day or first few days, they give access to Salesforce, mostly the sandbox. Right, that time you should know you need to go to this website and enter. Right, it should be like this kind of format and password, login. Okay, so once they create, I mean, similar to developer edition, right? Some already some colleague, when you join in the team, they create the one of the user in the sandbox, right? By appending with the sandbox name, you will get email. You'll check your email and set the password similar to developer edition how we did and log in. Okay, so that will happen. So just understand this. Okay, and also there are many other things. Sometimes in some companies they implement single sign-on. So that time what will happen? So this is a generic URL, right? Maybe the account when we register, there is a unique URL also, right? So for example, this is a URL, right? Directly I can give this address and open and login, right? Instead of login.salesforce.com, right? Maybe I can give that company, right? And I can log in, right? Maybe the advantage is just trying to show maybe just let me show you one example. Okay. The thing is the custom domain, right? The unique URL also using that we can log in, right? Okay, I think I forgot the password. Just give me a few seconds just to show you how exactly it looks. I'm just waiting for password reset email. I'm just trying to
So what exactly are you trying to do here? Sorry, I missed a couple of minutes.
yeah, I'm trying to show about the custom domain. Okay, how exactly it works. Okay, so in general, these are the generic URLs, right? Any production, if you want to log in, this is the URL. Any sandbox to log in, this is the URL. Okay, so but this is not only the way. Maybe each sandbox might have a unique URL, or each production might have a unique URL. I'm just trying to show that. Okay, so here this is right. In general, this is production. To log in, we say login.salesforce.com, but I know that one of the exact URL of that production account, right? You can also open like that and log in and see. Okay, the advantage is, so if you go with the generic one, so the logo and the color, everything, the generic Salesforce, whatever the screen Salesforce offer, we see that. But when you request the user to use the company domain URL, right, which is only for that company, so the logo, the color kind of things can be changed. Okay, I mean, in some projects, they won't allow to log in from the generic URL, right? So that time, so whatever the domain created for that particular company, so that we need to bookmark and we need to open that and log in. Just I'm explaining, because if I don't explain, blindly people are thinking only this is the way, right?
So you were saying something about the single sign-on. Can you please elaborate more on that one, please?
Yeah, single sign-on means right, when you work for one of the company, right? So to log into our laptop, first of all, right? So first you need to connect to VPN. Do you know the VPN concept?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe maybe someone who is new to IT, they might not be knowing, right? In general, uh, to log into the laptop, right? If I enter my password and if I know my username, we can log in. But additionally, to connect to the company network, so we need to connect to the VPN, right? So VPN is like additional security. So again, it will send some secret code to some. There are some other mechanisms. Okay. So once you log in, so already you connected with your company network successfully, right? So once
Oh,
you connected with your company network, maybe they might be using Salesforce for CRM, right? They might be using maybe some other uh, website, maybe for some other kind of software, right?
okay, okay. They don't need any login, user IDs and password with a single
Yeah,
sign-on.
because again, you already connected to company trusted VPN with username and password. Again, remembering this username and password, remembering this username and password, right? There might be many applications like this.
Yeah.
Say, like a very hectic job for the employee. So that time, if they implement single sign-on, what will happen? As soon as they connect to their company network, okay. So for single sign-on, this generic URL won't work. Okay. So whatever the company specific, right? The domain URL, as soon as you open this, automatically it will be right. Maybe it might ask option to choose single sign-on. Automatically, it will be connected without password. That one. Okay, that is like some little other concept. Okay, so some of you, if you don't know, okay, it's fine. Okay, we'll discuss those kind of things little later. For now, at least, right? This one, production. This is the way. So sandbox. This is the way. Just keep in mind there might be some custom domain URL. Using that also, we can log in. Okay, so that's about this part. Okay, so any questions on understanding this, whatever we discussed so far? Okay,
Hello.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Srinu, could you please explain me with an example of Airtel, like what does administrator do exactly? Who will be our client and who will be the end user?
So with the Airtel example,
Yes.
yeah. So maybe let me type here. So in which company you want to work? everything we assume, right? So let's say Airtel is the company. Okay, so they need CRM, right? Who use that? So the end users, right? The employees, right? Here the end users are the employees of Airtel, right?
Okay.
So they might be having some basic CRM applications when they sign up, right? But they have many requirements beyond the standard. They want some custom features as part of that. Okay, to develop some company, right? Maybe if they have IT department, they only work. Mostly they outsource to other companies. Okay, there are some service-based companies. So assume that this time you joined in CTS company, right? So now here you are one of the administrator or developer, right?
Okay.
So you are part of this team, right? We need to help this Airtel company to achieve their, maybe let's say they have 20 custom requirements on top of what our standard application is there, right? So now we need to work for them. So now what we need to work for them, they'll be having the production, right? All these apps, everything is user. They have the Salesforce production, right?
Okay.
So in order to work for these requirements, right? So who is asking question?
It's me, Ashisha.
Okay. So let's say you are working, right?
Okay.
So for you, what you need, so let's say you have access to their production, but you directly should not work in the production, right? Because in this production, all these Airtel employees, they are using and they have the live data. We should not disturb that one. Okay.
Okay.
So now let's say you know the concept, how we create the sandbox. You can log into that production and create the sandbox, right? Sandbox looks like this. You just click on new and give the sandbox name, whatever you want, and create, right? So now, so as a process, mostly we create like this, right? Dev, QA, and UAT, right? And the production. You will start working here to achieve these requirements of Airtel, right?
Okay.
So after doing unit testing, we'll deploy to QA and our testing team from CTS, they do the testing. So like that, right?
Okay.
That's the flow, like that the project uh, in general on day-to-day will happen.
Okay.
Now, I mean, did you understand or any other questions? So what exactly we are expecting?
Yesterday, you have taken us through the marketing service. There, you
Hmm.
said that this is the end user view.
Yeah,
In this example, there the persons will be employees of Airtel, right?
yeah, correct.
Okay. Yeah.
So in the previous example, who use the application? The employees of the Apple company,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
In this example, who use, right? At the end of the day, who use the application? The employees of the Airtel company,
Airtel.
correct?
Okay. Got you.
But maybe we are not Airtel employees, right? We work for this company. For that client, just we are helping to achieve their requirements and deploy so that their employees they can use that application.
Yeah.
Yeah, this company they charge for that, right? Since they are working by recruiting the technical team, they
Okay.
take money from them and they give salary for us, right?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
Srinu,
Yeah,
Quick question. So where will the customers come into picture in this example?
yeah. In this example,
UAT, right?
so yeah, so I mean, UAT is just like the
User.
ATL employee, that team they do testing and do, right? But when ATL team, when they start using these apps, right? Okay, so in their CRM, right? So they give advertisements, right? Let's say, right? So advertisements they store in campaign, right? In the application they store. So campaign, due to that some lead came, right? One of the software company, let's say, uh, need internet, right? Let's say Bono is a person, and his software company name is, so let's say, mm, so any company, let's take some company, TCS, right? Let's say TCS is starting a branch in one of the city, so they need internet for, let's say, 500 employees, right? So now, right, if they are interested for this Airtel broadband, okay, so the lead, right, if they are showing interest, can be converted as account, contact, and opportunity, right? So in the account they store this TCS company information. In the contact they store this Bono, and in opportunity, so maybe internet for 500 employees, right? So maybe this is just one example, right? So like this, right, there are many other companies, right? So not only software company, let's say in India, Coffee Day, right? So that's one of the outlet. So they also offer internet, right? They need internet. Again, one more lead, right? So maybe, so someone from, right, Coffee Day responded. Okay, let's say Arul, and working in Coffee Day, is responsible to get internet. Okay, so they are showing interest again. Under account they store, right? So this Coffee Day, and under this, right, this contact Arul. So like that, right? So you can say these are customers, right? These are the customers for Airtel company. Okay, that job will be done by the employees of the Airtel company. Even as a administrator, as a developer, we should have some understanding like this, because we need to pretend that they'll be creating, and we need to do the testing, right? So for that sake, we have to have the idea. Okay.
So I mean in layman language, right? So
Yeah.
let's say I'm using Airtel app. Let's say my internet is not working, Wi-Fi. So
Hmm.
I raise a case through app. It's like
Yes.
consider it's working as CRM. Or if you see that the visa interview, right? The CKG. I think that is also running by Salesforce. When I
Yeah.
look at the
Correct.
URL,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So I consider as a customer, right? So I mean, I raise a case. Hey, my Wi-Fi is not working. Can you? I think someone is acknowledged that and then assigned to something. All these, we can. I mean, within the CRM, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, like, so customer exactly where in this? I mean, example, right? Where it exactly? Like, is it like end user or coming to picture, right? Where exactly the
Yeah. Yeah.
customer?
So yeah, for that, right? The thing is, there are two types of business, right? Maybe
Yes.
the Airtel company. Maybe in my examples, I am saying through some company they are approaching for internet. Okay. Maybe as an individual also we can apply for internet, right? Let's say now, I think Sai, right? You need internet for your home. You are not part of any company, right? So what will happen in those kind of situations? there is one thing called a person account. In general, by default, whatever the account Salesforce offer, they treat as a business. Okay, so when the company is doing business with individual persons, they are not part of any company, person account can be created. Okay, at that time in this account, your name only will be stored, right? And also it parallelly maintain contact, and there also your name will be there. Both places your name will be maintained. Okay, so that is little bit advanced concept. Okay, so B2C we'll discuss later. I don't want people to confuse. That's why. Okay, so mostly we see this kind of business using.
Got it. Got it. Please continue. Yeah. Yeah.
But you understood, right? That's how will work. And from the app, when you create any request, internet not working and all will be created under case service request. From whom this person Sai belongs to, which company, not belongs to any company, person account. Okay, like that in the application it will be maintained. Okay, yeah. So any other questions before we understand further things? So once you have this everything, then we can easily work and so that you'll understand. Okay, now I want to explain little more about these sandboxes. Okay, so when we deal with these sandboxes, so there are different types of sandboxes. Okay, maybe dev QA, those are like for the development purpose, QA purpose. That is a process. But while creating this sandbox, so when you try to click on new, you see the which license, which sandbox license you want to apply. So developer or developer pro, partial copy or full. Based on this license, the way how the sandbox is created with the content of the production will be changed. Okay, so we should have some basic understanding of this. Okay, so now if you see here, this one, the developer, right? So while creating the sandbox, if you create from this developer license, so what will happen once the sandbox is created, right? Maybe the contents of the production, which contents of the production it copy, right? Maybe I'm explaining that we have application. In application we have tabs. Tabs are associated to object. In the object we have the fields. In the object we have the records. Records are nothing but the data, right? So what exactly will be copied? So this is the point. Okay, here configuration means the point and click. Under configuration, the applications, the objects, right? Object is nothing but table structure, right? The column, what is the data type of the column? All the structural things, those things are part of the configuration. Okay, and also we do some development with Apex programming language. So the Apex code and whatever we create for development related thing, and also the users who are part of the production, all this content will be copied at the time of creating the sandbox. Okay, so here what is not copied, just to understand. Okay, maybe if you open one of the application, let me maybe open this marketing application just to explain. So this application is a configuration, right? In Salesforce, application is nothing but just a name, and it will be having some collection of tabs, right? All these tabs under one application, right? Application, and all these are the different tabs you can see. Okay, so now all this is a configuration. Okay, internally it stores in a format called XML. Okay, just we say metadata. So anyway, so now when you click on this, right? So here campaign, the structure, right? Campaign name, type, these columns. The structure also is a configuration. So what is not configuration? The data, right? So this table and these fields, who can modify? Only admins and developers, they'll configure and modify. But this data, who create this data? The end users, right? Who are the client employees? They create this data based on day-to-day operations, right? So here, this part is data, records. The above column structure and all these things are the configurations. Okay, so the point is only the configuration is copied. The data, right? Whatever is created in the production, that is not copied when you create the developer sandbox, right? So it copy this campaign and everything, whatever is there, but it won't copy the data. So that's the meaning. Okay, this is what it includes. But how to test, right? Let's say we created a developer sandbox for development purpose, let's say dev. But as a developer, we need to have some data to test, right? We can create our own data. It won't copy from production, but as a developer, we create some record and test it. Okay, so how much data we can create? Up to 200 MB. Okay, so Salesforce assign, right, 200 MB of the space to store our test data. Okay, this is one of the point. Let's say maybe production might have 10 GB or 100 GB, right? But Sandbox, when you create a developer, so only Salesforce limit to 200 MB and we can create our own test data. Okay, so that's the thing. And also this is, what is this refresh time interval 1 day? Okay, so to understand that, so what we need to understand, let's say, right, one of the developer, right, let's say this developer is working for one requirement in Dev, one of the sandbox, right? So while achieving this requirement, right, it's not that straightforward we can achieve. We need to do a lot of research. What is the best way of achieving that? We configure many things and finally we decide with one of the best configuration, right? And we go with that. So let's say maybe in that process, right? So let's say she configured 3 different ways to achieve the requirement, and one of the ways, best way. So while deploying, mostly we deploy that the one which is working, we deploy to QA. But other changes, whatever this developer makes, maybe forget to revert back to the original position, right? Some unnecessary change might be already here. Okay. In the same way, the other developers also on day-to-day while working, most of the perfect changes will be moved to the other sandbox, finally to production. But a lot of unnecessary configurations might be still present in this. Okay, so now after maybe 1 month or 3 months, what will happen? lot of many other things which are really not part of the other sandboxes will be here, right? So on top of that, still if you try to work, maybe if you assume that whatever is there in dev, it is there in QA, our results will go wrong. So due to that purpose, what will happen in most of the projects, people refresh the sandbox. Refreshing is like a formatting, right? So if you see refresh in the sense, all the contents present in this sandbox will be cleared. And again, at the time of refresh, so what are the contents present in the production? Or maybe do you want to copy from QA? Whatever the contents present in that, exactly those things it will copy and create the sandbox. So that way, so it will be synced with the other sandbox or production. And again, we continue working. Again, after 3 months, again, you see again many unnecessary changes. Okay, due to that reason, people refresh. Okay, so now the point here, right? So refresh time interval, right? Whatever it is showing. So let's say you refresh one of the sandbox, maybe to show you. If you go back, so here the sandboxes, right? Let's say if I click on this refresh, right? If I click on refresh and if I do the refresh, so what will happen after refreshing? You don't see that button. I mean, I'm not doing really, okay? Just I'm showing. So once after completing refresh, this link will be disabled for 1 day, right? So at least you need to wait for 1 more day to again refresh. Okay, so that's the meaning of refresh time interval 1 day. Again, by seeing this, people are thinking we need to refresh every day. So it's not like that. We don't refresh every day, right? Mostly 3 months or 6 months or yearly once. In general, people refresh. In the worst case, if you want to refresh, so the waiting time period is this much. That's what, right? One of the limit. So that's about the developer. When you create the developer sandbox,
Yeah, hello, Sid.
Um,
Like,
yeah,
how the developer knows that the capacity is less than 200 MB when he's
while
developing, while
yeah, while
developing.
yeah, the thing is while creating we know, but let's say, but later part you joined in that sandbox, you joined newly and you got access to sandbox. So mostly to see the sandbox or the production, right? So what is the capacity and how it is? You need to go to the setup area. I'm not already in the setup area, so you can click on setup. Right, once you see setup left side, you can search for in the quick find. You can search for company information. Okay, you can go to the company information. Okay, and here it will show, right? So how much data is allowed, right? All those kind of things. Maybe to show you, let me try to show you with. So let me try to log into one of this and show you. Let's say I'm trying to log into this one. I think I forgot the password. Okay, just I'm showing, right? That is one of the sandbox. I'll
Okay.
be trying to log in and show you how you can see.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah,
So this refresh interval we have, right? Say for suppose we have done some changes and we have not moved those changes to QA. So and we have clicked the refresh interval. Then along with the test data, whatever we created, even the test data and whatever changes we have done, everything will be cleared or
everything will be
only
clear.
the everything. Okay.
Yeah, once you refresh, right? Let's say you
Even the
have
test
the,
data.
yeah. So I understood. I think here you have some configurations or development and test data
Yes.
also, but you did not deploy what changes, right? And if
Yes.
you refresh, everything will be, we lose everything.
Okay.
Whatever you did
And
not deploy.
while
Yeah.
Yeah, and while deploying it to QA or UAT, the test data will not be moved, right?
Yes. And when we say deployment
Hmm.
is only for configuration, right?
Okay,
Not for data.
yeah,
Okay, data
got
should
it.
be migrated. So really, if there is a need, data should
Hmm.
be migrated using some tools. There are some tools like data loader, data import wizard. By
Okay,
using that, we need to migrate. Okay, so
okay,
going forward, if you hear about deployment is
hmm.
only for the configuration and development, not for the
Okay,
data. We say
okay,
data migration if you are moving the data.
okay.
Okay, so now if you say, I think I mean, sandbox is nothing but on top it show sandbox and name of the sandbox, right? Nothing different than whatever the developer edition we are seeing. Okay, so some people in real time how it looks, nothing, exactly same thing in developer edition. So what we see, you see like that only. Okay, so sandbox means only on top you see this banner, the name of the sandbox. Okay, so here just I don't know what is this type of sandbox and what is the capacity, right? If you want to see, you need to click on setup, right? So left side, go to that company information. So click on the company information. Okay, and if you see here user space, right? If you click on view, here we see capacity, right? 200 MB, right? So why only 200 MB? Maybe if you again go back and see, so we can assume that this is the developer type of sandbox, right? So that's why we have 200 MB. So like that we can see. Okay,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah. Let me go back and
Signon,
yeah,
one question.
yes,
This, if there are, I mean, the sandbox development environment, you can call it, do we have to create this sandbox developer machine per user? Like if we have two, three developers or administrators, so we will create different copies for each?
Yeah.
yeah. So the thing is mostly it's not that for every developer we create one sandbox. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say there are three developers in the team, one sandbox for all these three developers.
Okay.
Everyone they log in and configure, develop, do the testing and deploy to QA.
So
Okay,
we can work simultaneously. I mean,
simultaneously. But in some projects, you see, right, all based on the project.
okay.
Each developer they create one sandbox and they work and they make their changes to again some other sandbox and they work like that. That is also there.
Okay.
Okay, but 90% you see one sandbox for all developers. It's like that.
Okay.
Okay, I mean there is no rule, but this is the thing you see in most of the projects. Okay,
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Who can
So
create the sandbox? Is it admin or a developer?
yeah, once you join, it's not a matter if you are admin or developer. Okay.
Okay.
So, but the thing is, when you say developer in Salesforce, right? Some people they say I want to learn Salesforce development. When you ask, they say I don't know administration. But here in Salesforce, when you say Salesforce developer, already that guy should know the administration basics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you are admin, yeah, as a admin, you should know this concept and you should be able to create. Okay, but developer mostly will be having this skill set. That guy also can create. Okay,
Okay.
but yeah, as a rule, what will happen? Um, the big clients like maybe in our example Apple, right? They recruit a specific administrator for the production to do some activities, right? They recruit 1 or 2 people to manage. Only those people they maybe create the sandbox or refresh the sandbox, create the
Mm-hmm.
user, deactivate the user, all those kind of things.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, as you said, like 3 or 4 developers can work on one single sandbox.
Yeah.
So we know, right? Like some of the developers are working on one feature, and some other developer would be working on a different feature. So before doing the refresh, do they have to check with other developers as well?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
So now, yeah, I understood. So now what will happen, right? Sometimes you are very new, okay? You joined in the company and someone asked you to refresh the sandbox, right? So if we don't have some experience, what we do, since they ask you to refresh, log in and refresh. It's very, very dangerous,
Yeah.
okay? Because maybe other people they don't know that you are refreshing, right?
Uh, yeah.
Maybe they might be working from months to develop some code.
Mm-hmm.
They lose their changes. I saw something happen many years back, right? So in those kind of worst situations, so what will happen? You can also contact Salesforce, right? Direct the Salesforce support and explain this was refreshed and we need the code before the refresh, right? Sometimes they charge and provide that right before you refresh whatever the content was there. They might charge and provide, right? Those kind of things will be there. But the thing is, always we should be very careful,
Okay.
especially this refresh part and all. It's not that blindly we go and refresh. At least
Yeah.
1 week before, ask all other,
Yeah.
send
Send out
multiple
an
emails
email.
and yeah,
Okay. Good.
and strongly say if you don't respond, you will lose all changes. And right, we have as a we need to create such kind of thing and refresh, right? Because if someone say why did you refresh, we should have that. Yeah, just why I'm explaining this, we should be careful while doing these things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. So the thing is mainly whatever
So
we are.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry. So you told right they'll charge and they'll like provide us the changes. So where this will be stored, like whatever changes are refreshed. So actually it has to be stored somewhere, no, like to rework
Yeah.
it.
They might maybe keep for. They might maintain some internal policies, keeping for 3 days or 1 week or 1 month, right? That we don't know. Only the
Okay.
Salesforce team knows. That's their internal
Okay.
purpose.
Okay. So like on the server only the data will be maintained even though it is deleted.
Um, Data, if you delete, it will be there in recycle bin, right?
Yes.
From recycle bin also, if it is deleted, we cannot get that. Okay, but sometimes, right, Salesforce as a paid service, they keep something, and if you ask, they might give or they might not give. It's all based on how they are maintaining internally. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now, no need to think that much. Okay. Yeah. Any other things? Okay. So now, I mean, the thing is, I'm spending a lot of time on explaining these things. The other contents, right? If you read some books or if you refer some websites or something, you might find, right, these things nowhere. You don't find any document. Okay. So once you know, then the other things based on how you study, based on that you can pick up and easily you can do other things. So that's why I'm trying to spend on this part. Okay. So yeah, the other point. Okay. So while creating the sandbox, if this developer pro, if this type is chosen and if this sandbox is created, right? So the thing is, there are some licenses. Okay, so for few types, they need to buy from Salesforce. Okay, so mostly in our example, this Apple company, so whoever is responsible, right, for the CRM, that management team, so they will be getting those licenses based on the requirement. Okay, so if the license is there and if you create this developer pro, what will happen? Same as this developer, exactly. Only the configuration data cannot be copied. Refresh interval 1 day, but only the difference is the capacity. So up to 1 GB data can be stored. Okay. So in some situations, to do some performance testing, some kind of things, 200 MB is not sufficient. We need more capacity. That time this developer pro will be useful. Okay. So now the other one is partial copy. Okay. So one of the specialty with this type is, along with the configuration and the code what we developed, it can also copy the data, right? Data means like these rows of data also it can copy. Okay, but it's not like all the data. Okay, for example, in the production there is 10 GB data, but it cannot copy all the 10 GB data, right, from each table. So I think there is a limit of 10,000, right? Let's say there is a table with 1 million records, but it can only copy 10,000 records. Or we can also choose, right? Let's say there are 100 tables in the production, but we want data only for 5 tables. So we choose only that and do. So where to choose? Again, for that little, if you go back, so we have a concept called templates. Okay, so we create the template and decide which objects, those kind of things. Okay, so for now, I mean, this is like only one time, or right? It's not like day to day we do all these things, right? So just to get to know the process. Really, if you did not create, also it's not a big deal. Okay, so now the partial data can be copied, right? The capacity is 5 GB, and here, so in case if you refresh the partial copy type of sandbox, the refresh, that link will be disabled on 5 days, for 5 days. Only after 5 days again you can refresh. Okay, so that's the one of the limit. So that's about this partial copy. The next one is full, right? Full in the sense full contents of the production, no compromise. The exact replica means exact like mirror whatever is present in the production, including the data, right? Let's say in production, there is 10 GB data. The entire 10 GB data will be copied into this full copy sandbox, right? So it's like exact as it is. If you want this full type of sandbox, we choose and create. Okay, but license is needed. Out of all these sandboxes, this full sandbox license is costly. Okay, so I mean the licenses and all the management will bother about that. They will contact Salesforce and they will enable. Okay, so just understand this. And the thing is, refresh time interval 29 days. Okay, once in case if you refresh the full copy type of sandbox, again we cannot refresh until 30 days. Okay, so capacity is like production having 10 GB, 10 GB. Production is having 300 GB, 300 GB. Is it like it's not constant? It's not constant. I mean, in general, as a base, maybe right for production for enterprise they give 10 GB, but client need 30 GB. They have to pay extra, and so that Salesforce will add 30 GB. Right, in future if they want 100 GB, they have to again pay extra, so that Salesforce will add 100 GB. Right, it's all based on cost. So these are the types. Okay, just I'm trying to explain. And also mostly, so I told that for our development purpose, these types of sandboxes will be created, right? So mostly the dev sandbox you see choosing with either developer or developer pro. It's all based on the licenses. Okay, for QA, right? QA means testing. Testing team, they need some, at least some data, some quality test data, whatever is already present in the production. So you see QA and all created with partial copy. The reason is some production quality data will be there, so that maybe some defects can be identified only with the production data. So that's why you see mostly you see QA as partial copy. Okay, UAT is like exact before the production. Mostly you see people prefer creating the full copy sandbox for the UAT, but it's not a rule, right? I'm just saying the generalized thing, how in most of the projects will happen. The client is not having budget and they don't have full copy license, UAT also can be maybe partial copy, or everything is developer pro, right? It's all based on what are the licenses they have, and based on that this will be done. Okay, so but if you want to general way, if you want to say, you see mostly developer pro can be chosen for dev sandbox. Mostly the partial copy is the most appropriate as soon as the license is there. So before production, full copy sandbox is the better option. But it's not that you cannot create UAT this type, right? So just understand this. So these are the things. Okay, now we have all understanding. So what is production and how sandbox can be created. Again, while creating, there are types based on that, the way it copy, the configuration data, there are some variations. So all these things you know. Okay, now you really start working here. So you have the background so that you can focus on so the topics what we discussed. Okay, so now, so before even really starting a project and explaining, I want to explain few more things. Okay, so apart from whatever I explain in the training, right? So if you want to do more practice, or there are many websites. the Salesforce affiliated websites, you should have the understanding about this. Okay, so I'll be explaining so these things one after other. Okay, so now I want to choose this website to explain today. I think I'll take few minutes to explain. Okay, so this one is like a learning platform from Salesforce. Okay, so technically speaking, everything you see in this website, trailhead.salesforce.com, right? So some people try to learn from this even without training also. Okay, but why training is needed? Maybe here lot of information is there, but it's not like in an organized way. Maybe I started with what is production sandbox, how the project goes. So like that, I mean, like that you cannot get it, right? So randomly topic you choose and understand, topic you choose and understand, like that. Okay, so only doing this itself won't give full knowledge. Okay, so along with the training, right? Not only my training. So if you try to learn from someone who is already working and know the process, all those things will register quickly in our mind, and it is easy to continue and learn. And right, it's like as quickly as possible how we learn, right? It's like you will be applying for a job with 6 years, 10 years experience, but really you did not work for 6 years, right? For a 6 years person, how much knowledge you will be getting in 3 months or 4 months, right? So yeah, that's what we do in this training. Okay, so yeah, along with that, if you take this trailhead, it will be useful. Okay, so for sure, along with the whatever we discussed in the training, additionally, I also suggest you to practice some of these things. You can practice and you can continue working. Okay, so now how to register with this? Okay, just you need to go to that website, and whatever the developer edition, right? It's like whatever developer edition we register is the key thing for everywhere. Okay, so whatever username, password you have for the developer edition, with the same thing also, just already it is logged in because the browser remember my name. Okay, so when you open it will be like this. So no need to click on sign up as soon as you have the developer edition, right? So click on login, and right, you can say Salesforce and enter your developer edition username and password. Both you can enter and log in. Okay, so that it will be logged in, right? So that is one way. The other way, maybe the email address, right? If you have Gmail, whatever the Gmail associated to your developer edition, you can click on this one and try to log in with one of that. That is easy way. I'm using this one. It's easy. Okay, so that you will be logged in, right? Once you log in, so you see, right? So there are many training modules. I is directly going to this my home. Okay, so basically you see the right, so trails and modules and projects, different categories. So you can maybe start with these modules. Okay, so I mean, each module, one module is like one topic with multiple sections. Multiple modules together is one trail. right? So multiple trials together is a trial mix. Yes, the projects is like it is also some information, but for modules at the end they ask questions and ask you to complete something, right? For projects, maybe so just you say you completed something. So once you started doing, you will be knowing all those things. And also, there are many certifications, there are many collaboration groups, many things are there. As soon as you have interest, slowly I'll explain those kind of things. So let me click on these modules just to show you. Okay, so hundreds of thousands of modules are there, right? So in general, I recommend you to start with admin beginner, one of the module. Admin beginner. So again, trail mix and the trail, right? This is the one. I think already here, right? If you see the URL assignments, this is your first thing apart from what we discussed in the training. So these things you open, each module will be having many sections. You open one of the section. So this is also like this is like a game, right? So when you play the game, so what is the benefit you get? Just time pass. You will get some points. You can also maybe share the points and maybe with your friends you can say I have these many points. You can compare, right? This is also like a game, but here we learn and get benefit maybe with your colleague or with someone. So how many points you have, how many badges you have, right? So based on what you complete, you will get those, right? Here they'll explain, right? So these are the topics you will be learning. So it's not like just read it without focus and complete. You need to read. At the end, really, did you read it or right? So they check. At the end, they give the task, right? So they give the requirement. So here we have some playground scratch. So arcs. Okay, so I mean like a developer edition, right? Only for doing these assignments. Okay, so you can create a playground, and once it is created, just we launch. So that right, this is like only to do the trailhead, right? So they create one arc, and here, right, whatever they are asking, you can complete, and you have to check for points as per what they asked. If you did it properly, you will get 500 points. Otherwise, you won't get. Okay, like that, right? Once you complete, again next one, right? For few modules, they ask multiple choice questions. Okay, so I think I already have completed. Again, it won't show. They ask 5 questions, multiple choice. You need to choose, and okay. First time, if you don't choose properly, so instead of 100 points, second time they give 50 points. Second time also, if you did not answer everything correct, 25 points, right? So, but minimum 25 points you will get. But your friend, if they get 100 and you get 25, your points will be less, right? So it's like that. So you can do that. I'll suggest. Okay. And also, what is the advantage? Why I am specially explaining about this one? Nowadays, the job profile, right? So how people, not only with the resume, right? Apart from the resume, so what they are asking. So your trial Blazor profile, right? So when you do this trailhead, so everyone who is working for Salesforce is calling as Trailblazer. Okay, so when you click on this profile, right? So all of us are like Trailblazers. Okay, so each person who is dealing with Salesforce will be having a unique ID, right? So maybe this is my ID, right? You can give your whatever, if it is as soon as it is available, you can create your own ID. Okay, so you can just give whatever you want, and so I mean in this profile, right? So they'll be knowing how many badges you completed, how many points you have, how many trials, and also there is a certification program from Salesforce. About 20, 30, 40, many certifications, right? So when we started, it was like very few. Year by year, they are acquiring many things, and many certifications are there, right? Slowly, when we start, so mostly you see people, right? The first thing is Salesforce administrator, right? Maybe some people want to focus on development, they do the developer. So yeah, keep on, you can complete your certification. Your certifications can be added here, right? All your certifications. And also when you complete the certification, it is not lifetime. Okay, so you need to complete the maintenance for the certification exam. Okay, just let me take a few minutes to explain that. Where to register for certification, where to take the maintenance. We should know that. Okay, so to register and right to book for the certification exam, web assessor, Salesforce, just a switch like that. Okay, so Salesforce is using this platform to conduct their exams. Okay, so here creating the account is free without any charge. You can sign up for the free account, right? So once you log in, just let me show you, just to show you how you can book. This is also important. Okay, so once you log in, you see something like this, right? So here you can click on register an exam. Okay, so here if you see, right, these are the different exams, administrator exams. So administrator. So there are two ways how you can give the exam. One way is going to the authorized exam center and give the exam. The other way, directly in our laptop giving the exam. Okay, so best way, there is a possibility, go to the authorized exam center and give the exam, so that we don't bother about the power and internet and other things. If you want to do within your laptop, make sure that you don't see any power failure or internet disconnections. And also most important, you cannot do some fraud. Okay, so if you try to do it, it's very dangerous, because we need to install some software, and someone they watch. We also need to turn on our webcam. If there's suspicious activity, they will interrupt and they ask you to show your room and all those kind of things. Okay, so maybe they might cancel your exams also. I mean, already let's say you have two certifications, you are taking third one and they find something fraud, they cancel all your certifications. Okay, I mean, why I'm explaining this, just don't take this light. And okay, so all those things are like strict. Okay, so but you get some dumps, means sample exam questions. Maybe if you read 120, 160, 200 questions, maybe in exam day, right? So 65 questions, something, right? You might get 60 questions out of 200, whatever you read. Those are there. Those you can use and do. But at the time of exam, just make sure to don't do those kind of things. Okay, I mean, this is the way. Okay, so exam cost $200. Maybe sometimes some discount vouchers will be there, especially December and some months. Okay, so maybe that time before taking, you can check with me if there is any voucher. If something is there, I'll share. Okay, you might get some discount kind of things are there. Okay, that's the way, right? So first time you need to pay and give the exam here by following all the instructions. For maintenance, again, no need to come here. Okay, so if you search in Google, you will get it how you link your web accessor with the trailhead. Okay, once you have the link, so the maintenance exams, you need to do complete one module, right? So here, this is open book. This you can copy from somewhere or search in Google or try how many times you want until you complete that, right? So here, but you need to complete. So once in a 6 months or a year. Okay. Otherwise, you will lose your certification, right? If you don't look into that, if you forget, you lose your whatever you have. Okay. So just understand these things. Okay. Yeah. So once you complete, all those things are added here, right? This is like your profile. This is equivalent to like a resume, right? Only the thing, the real company projects you don't see here. Mainly, maybe you include those things there, but by seeing that, people are understanding the skill set. I mean, so it's better to do by yourself, right? Again, some things, right? So you give your account to someone and they do it. There is no use. You might have many badges and points, but right. So some people they do that. So it's like that. Okay. So just understand and know about this. Tomorrow we'll discuss about some other websites. Okay. Now mostly I'm explaining in the perspective of a service-based company, right? So when you join in Wipro, CTS, we work for clients like Airtel, Apple company like that. What if you get job directly in a product-based company, right? Directly the client, they have product and they sell the product to multiple. About that and the websites, what we need to know about that. So that we discuss tomorrow. Okay. So product-based company, how it works, kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, for today we are done. So any questions before ending?
Sir, actually, I've tried to create this trailhead account.
Hmm.
So it is asking me a few things like relationship to Salesforce,
You can say what are the options you are seeing.
customer, partner, non-customer or prospect, and Salesforce employee.
It's not a matter. You can choose anything. You can choose a Salesforce employee or partner for your company. Since you are not working, just choose Salesforce employee.
Okay.
But it's not a matter. You can choose anything.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions before ending?
Hey Srinu, what is the difference between Trailblazer and Trail Mix and Trailhead?
So trailhead is the place where you see all the learnings you have to do in the trailhead, right? So here in the trailhead, so one module already. So if you open this admin beginner, right? This is a trail. So under this trail, there are many modules, right? This Salesforce platform basics is one module, data modeling is one module. So each module will be having the sections. So now let's say you are giving the Salesforce admin certification. They recommend multiple trails, right? Multiple trails together can be added under a trail mix. You see some trail mix, right? So under that trail mix, you see multiple trails. For example, architect journey is one of the trail mix, right? Under that, there can be multiple trails. Okay, so this is one trail, and so some modules and again some trails can be there together. Okay, all these are internally how the topics are organized. Okay, this is trailhead. So when you complete these things, the points what you get, the badges, right? When you complete each module, you get one badge. All those things will be reflected on your profile, right? The trailhead profile is nothing but the trailblazer. Okay, so for your resume and all, people ask this URL, right? So that they can see what is your progress in trailhead and what are the certifications you have. And also you can answer. There are some, tomorrow I'll explain few things. So community groups where you can post your questions, you can answer, right? Really, if you have time, and you can improve your profile. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So there is one thing called super badge. Maybe it takes 3 weeks or 1 month also to complete. Okay. So this is like really, if you work in a company project, how much knowledge you get, that much. Okay. So slowly, if you start learning, then you'll be understanding all those things. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. So mostly these sessions only theoretical, right? Once after completing all this, everything is practical. Daily I'll be navigating and explaining. It's like that. Can you suggest some books and dumps?
Sir, I am not receiving any records, sir.
You are not receiving any recording. Did you register in the link?
Yes, sir, I registered link.
So are you checking your spam folder? Because sometimes what will happen, email is going to the spam folder. In our email, did you check the spam folder?
Spam folder is nothing in there, sir.
Spam folder means, let me show you. Right, you see you see spam left side. Okay. Sometimes
Yes,
my
sir.
mail will be under this.
Okay.
Okay. Check there.
Okay, sir.
Still, if it is not there,
Okay.
just ping me. Okay. I will make
Okay.
sure that I will share those. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other
Straight
questions?
like
Yeah.
with this training will be surviving in the market like with the experience of 6 years like that.
Yeah. See, almost 4 months even more is, I mean, taking to complete full training. Okay, I mean, it's not like I'm for commercial purpose I'm giving training. I'm giving training from 10 years since I don't want to stop suddenly and right to have the touch and for my satisfaction I'm giving training. Okay, so mostly nowadays I'm conducting 2 batches maximum per year. Okay, so I don't think so. Outside commercial training, they explain this many hours and give this much information, right? So what I'm trying to say, almost whatever I know, I'm explaining everything. Okay, in an organized way, and right. So for sure, whatever I explain, if you practice and if you learn it, easily you can do, right?
Okay.
If you are not able to do, meaning if you don't practice, you won't, right? It's all if you learn it, you can do, right? I'm, let's say, teaching 4 months, 5 months, but you did not practice, right? I cannot do anything. As soon
Yeah.
as you practice, you'll be good.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. Got
Yeah.
it.
So in between, I give some assignments, everything, but I don't stress anyone to complete that. Pointing someone and ask. I don't do those kind of things because
Oh.
some people they don't like. Okay, so all I can do, I'll say just refer this, do this, do this. If you follow, right? Most of whatever whoever learn, they did many certifications than me. Some students they have 40 certifications also, right? It's also how you go and all those kind of things.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. So any other questions before
So
ending?
how do we know that maintenance is due? Do we get an email or something like that?
Yes, we get emails.
Okay.
That's why, right? What is happening for the sake of this Salesforce training? People create one mail, right? Let's say sai.salesforce.com, salesforce@gmail.com. I mean, try to give your email which you check daily. So that way, if there is any mail, you can check and you can complete, right? So I saw many people using some secondary or different email. Don't check that email. After 2 years, they check and lose certification. Okay. So you get email, you'll be having sufficient time, at least 1 year. It's not like 1 month you need to do. 1 year time they give, you can do it. The other way, if you are in touch and if you log in daily, so in your profile it show, right? So when you try to see here, active means I think I completed all maintenance. Something is maintenance pending, here it will say maintenance and it shows some link. I can open that and complete that. This is also one way. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Yeah. So any other questions, anyone? Yeah, in general, I mean, this much time we don't take. Okay, we stick to the times, maybe 1 hour or 90 minutes. Since demo and many questions, I'm spending more time. Okay. Yeah. So any questions? Okay, we'll continue. Yeah, you can ask. No
Um,
need to hesitate. Yeah.
Currently, actually, I'm working in Wipro. So Wipro has provided me internal training on admin part. So I
Okay.
have done one certification, Salesforce Certified Administrator.
Okay.
Uh, but like that is with my company uh, mail ID. That certification, whichever I've done.
Yeah, you
So
can
suppose.
change. You can log into your account and change that email, right? So it's not like if you are with that company, then only will be. Okay. So you go to your profile. Maybe let me show you. Okay, Annie. So you go to your profile and change your email address. Okay, here I think a few things I cannot show.
Okay.
If you see here, this place, okay, so there just give your personal email,
Okay.
right?
So, sir, whatever that earlier certification I have done, so will that be with the
Yeah, even though
company
you
from
change
the...
this email, right? So the most important thing, you know your web accessor username and password, right?
Yes.
That's important. Okay.
Okay.
The email keep on we change companies, right? So
Yes.
whenever you change, you can change this email address so that you don't see any problem.
Yeah, but trailered account is also with that company's mail ID. So the certification, it is showing under the trailhead account only. So if I want to change it, then how?
Okay. So automatically, the trailhead, right? What is the developer edition you are using? You might be registered for developer edition, right? So when you register, maybe you might be given
Yes.
with a company email address. In the developer edition
Yes.
account, instead of company email address, give your personal email address.
Okay.
That way, automatically it will link.
Okay. I'll try, sir.
Yeah. So that is not a problem. That is very common. Even if you submit a Salesforce support ticket, right? So
Yeah.
they'll also try to help you.
Okay.
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 But already you took training, right? Why again you are taking training?
That was like not the complete,
Yeah.
admin part. They've
But are
given us
you
the training. So it
are
was
you
like hardly
finding the
for 2 to
difference?
3 weeks. Yes, because all these basics whichever you've taught like from 3 days, so that was like from 4 days, so that was not actually taught, and it was directly jumped into the topics, and only it was like only to the certification extent, like whatever is needed for the certification, only that was
Yeah.
like explained because they had this target. So from
Yeah.
Wipro, these many employees needs to be like Salesforce certified, at least with few things, administration, CPQ, Salesforce certified and all.
Yeah. Corporate
So
trainings are like that only. That's the commercial training. They give
yeah,
in
that's
1
the
week
reason
or two
I
weeks.
wanted to take this training.
Yeah. So this is not like that. This is like practical. You should be able to change job or
And
work.
to be frank, they've already given the dumps as well for the certification. So as I told,
Yeah.
it was just like the target they wanted. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The official way you need to at least, I mean,
learn
complete
the
this
concepts.
trailhead, right? Some modules and the dumps, and
Yes.
will be good. Blindly, if you follow dumps and have certification, also no use.
Yes.
So where do we see the DUMs? You're talking about something like
I mean, dumps are not in the social forums. Something, right? So people exchange in backgrounds. Okay. Yeah. Maybe when that time comes, just ping me. If something is available, I'll share, right? Because let's say we are 20 members, right? One person clears the exam. Sometimes they'll share dumps and ask me to share with others if that is helpful. So can. Okay, so dumps are like not in a recorded and a social forum. Okay, something people exchange in background. Yeah. No questions. Then we continue tomorrow. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.